G'day, it's Rob here again. Well, recently I got contacted by a company in Belarus. They've got an office in Minsk, and they asked me if I'd be interested in reviewing, checking out a metal cutting blade they sell. They sell wood cutting blades for wood sculpting and quite a range of stuff in angle grinder fittings. And they do this particular blade, which is a diamond blade, in 4.5 and 5 inch. So I thought, well, yeah, that'd be interesting. I've never actually used one of these. I've done plenty of work with angle grinders over the years using regular aluminium oxide grinding discs and similar. But I've never used a rigid metal disc like this with a diamond composite welded on edge, and I thought it's a good opportunity to try out one of these and see how they compare. Now, the blade is called GRAFF BLACK, and looking at doing a bit of research on this, apparently the original ones were in fact black, but now they're shiny silver. If we look at the back, there's quite a bit of a useful information on here, and there's also manufactured details, PRC, People's Republic of China, so it's made in China. It's not made in Belarus or the USSR or any of the Eastern Bloc countries. I was a bit curious about that. They do give you quite a bit of advice in the back here as far as how to get the best performance for it and the advantages of this type of blade. And basically, if we read through, a number of these are quite obvious. They say longer blade life. A lot of us, it will be much longer than a composite disc, aluminium oxide, but then how it compares to other diamond cutting discs I couldn't say because I haven't used any. But we have to take this on its merits, performance-wise, and see how it goes. Constant blade diameter. Now that's the big advantage, or one of the big advantages. It's also got unlimited storage life, whereas aluminium oxide discs actually have an expiry date. They're only good for a certain number of years. Whether they've actually got the expiry date printed on them is another matter, but that's my understanding, that all those discs have a finite lifetime. The other advantage is, of course, that this is solid metal. It can't shatter, whereas an aluminium oxide cutting disc can shatter or fly apart if it gets twisted, or if it goes into metal and it's not held firmly, it starts bouncing around, it'll actually tear chunks out of the edge of the blade. So much safer, and of course it can't shatter. You still should use a guard with it because stuff's going to fly off of it. The other, getting back to the advantage of the constant diameter, it means that as you are cutting through your job, the cutting speed is staying constant, so it's not reducing as the disc gets smaller. You don't have to swap out discs, you just leave it in there. And also, you can have a lot less mess because the aluminium oxide disc consumes itself. It goes from this diameter down to around here. So all this disc has gone to dust and particles which are going to make a mess in your workshop. And yeah, you could breathe that stuff in, or some people don't like the smell. But with this, you're only going to get actual cuttings from the job messing up the workshop. You're not going to get all that horrible gritty stuff from the disc eating itself up, basically. All right, we'll take it out of the box and have a look at it. So here it is. Yeah, it's quite weighty. Looks well made. On the back, got some information. Maximum RPM 12,250, which is in line with regular 5-inch discs. And the average angle grinder generally spins at about 10,000 RPM. What the metal is anyone's guess. I would say it's stainless steel of some sort. We'll put a magnet on it. It's magnetic, so that means it's ferritic, and that's a basic stainless steel, whether it be a type like 430 or 409, widely used, very common. So, you know, the old is it stainless steel, hit it with a magnet trick? No, I'm afraid that's not a very good test. It works on some, but it doesn't work on a lot, probably the majority. It's used widely throughout industry. Okay, we'll move right on. Right, for this comparison we're going to use some DeWalt regular cut-off discs, good quality. You can buy these in Australia for about $1 each, $1 Australian dollar each. And if you do your numbers on what the price of this is like compared to these, you have to really take into consideration where you're going to buy this, because this is available direct from the company, from Amazon, so you may or may not have to pay postage depending on where you get it, how much it costs. The adverts for this suggest it's good for 80 of these. Now, whether it is or whether it isn't, I can't say, and I'm not going to chew up 80 of these to find out. We can only just see this in action and see, you know, what we think of them. But if that was the case, that would mean that one of these is equivalent to $80 Australian dollars of these. I know for a fact these are a lot cheaper than $80, so price-wise, if that's right, these will be a cheaper buy. So anyway, all we can do now is do some tests. I'll use the same angle grinder in each case, do cuts of the same metal with each of them, and then we'll check the video time and see what the results show. And this is the angle grinder we'll be using. It's a 570 watt unit, MacTech, made by Makita. Good little unit. 570 is plenty. I can still run that off of a car inverter, a ute inverter, small generator. You don't need 900 watts just for cut-off discs, but people buy them. These are a lot lighter, easier to use, and will do the job. To make sure I give this blade a fair test, I've already done some cuts with it, compared it to the DeWalt. So we'll start this test again with a brand new DeWalt. You can see how much the DeWalt has worn down with 4 cuts. That was some channel, square section, a bit of flat stuff. So it was 4 cuts, each cut lasting 30 seconds. So yeah, the wear rate is there already. So we will start with a new disc, and I'll repeat the cuts on camera, and you can see for yourself the performance difference. left we've got the aluminium oxide cutting finish. Usual stuff, quite clean, not too bad. On the right we've got the finish from the diamond disc. You can see it's a lot rougher and there's some cleaning up required on both the round and the square section. You can see that it is cutting it, but it's galling. Even though the galling is removable, it's still not anything like what you get with a cutting blade like a hacksaw or a bandsaw. So not the way I'd want to go about it. Cutting aluminium, it does put some residue on the blade, which comes off pretty easily. So it does do a bit of clogging, but nothing that's of any concern really. So you can cut aluminium with it, but I don't think it's ideal, but it's better than you can do with the regular discs. So in summing up, which one do I prefer? Well, I've got to be honest and say this is a lot faster to use than this. You can see how much this has gone down in those few cuts. So, you know, that's what happens. And ultimately it'll get down to this depth, this diameter. All of this will be sprayed around your workshop, and you won't be able to go any deeper than, you know, well, from here to sort of about here if you're lucky. Whereas on this you've got your full depth. You do get more vibration with this for sure, you can feel it, but you can apply more pressure. I didn't do it in the videos, I kept the pressure even on both of them, but you can actually apply more pressure and cut faster with this, because if you do the same with this, the medium will actually won't cut any faster, it will just tear itself to pieces more quickly. This is how aluminium oxide discs work. You don't need a lot of wattage to spin them, because they can only cut at the rate that they can cut at. If you put a lot of pressure on, that's when things get dangerous. The disc will wear out faster. It will possibly start tearing itself to pieces on the edge, and that's how discs can shatter and cause injuries. So yeah, I could have cut faster with this if I applied a lot more pressure. It's the way it works. So at the end of the day, it's a matter of what you really want. Now, I mean, this disc will cut anything. It will do ceramics, brick, pretty much anything, whereas these are restricted to metal, really. How it works out on a dollar for disc basis, you'll have to do the sums and work that out. Overall, I think these are a handy thing to have in the workshop, but they're not the magic panacea for everything. And if I was doing a lot of metal work, I think I'd find this a bit too slow. I'd be looking at these discs, and certainly you'd get the jobs through a lot quicker, significantly in some cases. All that clean up on the cutting surfaces also, I didn't like that. That's going to slow you down even more. So overall, if you're in production or, you know, you've got your own business, I think this is the way to go. If time is not important, but money is, this will actually work out cheaper and safer and make less mess. Okay, well look, that's it from me. I can't say any more than that. You've seen them in action. Whether you want to get one of these or some of these is up to you. I can only show you how it is. Okay, that's it from me. Hope you enjoyed it. See you next time. Cheers.